but by the time this goes out, it'll probably have been done. We'll say now, like, just how amazing the Christmas party was.
Yes, so good. Food was amazing.
This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Martin Sully, a brand strategist, designer, and founder of Snapper Studio. And I'm on a mission to help you gain clarity and confidence in your brand. I'll arm you with bite-sized tips and introduce you to friends of the show who are taking their brand to the next level. Hello, listener. It's great to have your ears today. I'm talking to you from the land of the Awabakal, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Today's guest is the very energetic, bright orange delight that is Kerri-Ann Hooper. For those of you who aren't familiar with Kerri-Ann, she runs a brilliant company who, in my view, is doing an incredible job of disrupting the building industry from the inside. When you build a new house, and Kerri-Ann can fill you in on the specifics, with a lot of builders, there are lots of sneaky charges in a building contract that unsuspecting families miss. These families are excited to build their dream homes and eager to start the process. Now, to start, I want to get into how we met and tell you a bit of a secret.
Okay. Hi, Martin.
Hey. So you came to my networking event, Chatterbox,
yeah.
And I thought, wow, Chatterbox has taken off. And it was purely because you'd arrived. And because I'd seen you on social media and been like, she's all over the place. Like, she goes to all these events. She's not been to ours yet. And so then when you turned up, I was like, oh, geez. And I was super nervous because I'd never met you at that point.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you.
So welcome to the studio.
Oh, thank you, Martin. Oh, that's lovely.
I just want to kick things off slightly selfishly because I leave this sometimes to the end of the podcast. Yeah. And today I was like, I'm going to mix it up. So people, as you know, customer research, should power your brand.
Yeah.
Actually talking to people, having those conversations. And it used to be this whole thing where people would speak to you and you wouldn't have this sort of dialogue between you. It used to be like you'd just give them information, you'd never hear from them.
Right.
But now people, they need feedback just as much as you need feedback. And so it's this whole cycle of making sure that, you've got your research. So my question to start is there a particular topic that you want to like a better understanding of in branding?
In branding. Probably all technical stuff because I'm not very good with the tech side of things. I mean, everyone always tells me I'm everywhere on socials, but I'm just winging it most of the time. And I suppose with branding side of things, I did hear you saying on one of your podcasts about the fonts, like getting all your fonts right. Yeah. I think mine are a bit all over the place. So
how many are you using?
I actually don't know. My VA does that. But I thought, maybe I should look at that because I am a bit over the place with the fonts. So probably your wording, yes.
I was going to say it is really hard, and I think when you start using systems like Canva,
yes,
and I'm just assuming you do,
yes,
they unless you pay for the premium subscription and you're embedding your fonts that you've kind of hand selected and said, no, these are the ones we're going to use, and there's a bit of a system in play and some guidelines to say, okay, we're going to use this font, like the one that's in your logo. Like I always say, don't use that anywhere else. Okay. Use that as like, that's the top of the hierarchy.
Yeah.
And then from there, anything underneath is obviously not used. You wouldn't use the logo type in the rest of your branding.
Yeah.
Then you would select 2 or 3 different typefaces that would be then used, and you would obviously use like the italic version for sort of emphasis on certain words, bold, a bold and a regular.
So only like another 2 other than your logo. Yeah.
It's just being
That's
really,
good.
really specific about it. That just helps give you control and that consistency you're kind of looking for. And it is really hard. And then if you have 2 or 3 people also working on the brand or getting involved, that's, it does naturally happen unless you've got some, strict guidelines that, I like to say they're strict guidelines, but they, rules are there to be kind of bent slightly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's really difficult to.
Yeah, that's good to know because I think like even with my stories, sometimes I'm not using the same sort of font, and I mean TikTok is just a whole other beast. But
it's hard with stories, and because obviously Instagram and TikTok and everyone, and or when you're doing captions on things, like they have set fonts that they want you to use,
Yes.
and unless you some of the videos that I do off the back of it have my fonts in there, but because I've processed it via different software, that most people wouldn't go to that level.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to manage.
Well, I know, yeah. So the logo is the main, and then 1 or 2 after that.
One or 2 after that. I know.
Okay.
So to put it into context, I did a brand audit the other day for a local business, and I found, I think it was 17 different fonts.
Oh. I don't think I've got that many. But
I mean, that's on the
about another
extreme
5.
end, but built up over sort of 3 or 4 years, it's easy to kind of look at all the things that you've done and then go, oh, actually, I have used like 7, 8 different fonts.
Yeah.
And that's not uncommon.
Yeah, and as you say, if you have other people working on it, then they come in with their point of view. Yeah. So, that's good to know.
Now I've done my research for the day. We can kind of go straight in. I just want to say your messaging on your website is super clear.
Oh, great. Good.
I actually wanted to know, did you invest in copywriting?
I did probably about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I've just actually gone back in the last 6 months. I was saying I've got to get back to my VA about a few things to just make it a little bit more clear, a little bit more simpler.
Yeah.
So, but the About Me page, yes, that's a copywriting. Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say, I could when I jumped on there, I was like, you've got clear pain points. You've gone into, what people expect of a new build and all the stuff that they are kind of missing out on.
Yes.
When they go via a builder.
Yeah. By a display homes.
Yeah. And we've looked around at them before and I thought, wow, these look amazing.
Yes.
And then I was reading on your website that a lot of the stuff that you see is like not included as standard.
Yes.
So you're like, all this stuff is you've got to pay extra to have your driveway done.
Yeah. And all the council requirements and site costs, like people just assume that's going to be done. So that's the thing. They go to the display homes and they see all the, it's all beautifully done. The driveway's done, the fencing's done, the landscaping's done. There's even, some of them have a pool. But it's not true. I know it's very sneaky. It's very disappointing. It's not regulated.
It's not regulated.
No.
See, when you get the obviously your building licenses and things, you'd think, so what does the license
sort of catching
do?
them. Yeah, no one's catching them out. Yeah,
that's amazing.
I suppose it's their marketing, and then getting away with things because really you're not allowed to ask for a deposit from the client until the home warranty insurance in place, which is the HBCF now, home builders compensation fund. But a lot of them sort of label their deposit in a different way. So people are still paying, $5,000-$7,000 up front, and they're not even giving them the true price. Because then they're like, oh, now we have to go and do a contour survey. Now we need to go and do soil tests. Oh, your house is about another $20,000 more now. Oh, now going to put it in council. No, we didn't include these reports. We didn't include the BASICs, which is the energy efficiency of your home. Oh, that's another $50,000 to $70,000 more. So, yeah, it's not right.
That's incredible.
I've had so many people say that to me with my tender health checks, which is a build contract review, say to me, well, you just don't know what you don't know. And it's not until I point that out to them, they're like, my God, I did not know that this was not included in the price. I just assumed.
And interestingly, I think there's a similar thing that happens with creative agencies.
Right.
That there's often lots of hidden costs that people kind of sneak in.
Yes.
And I had a client the other day come to me off the back of having a rebranding done, and they'd got all the photography done. So on the photo shoot, and I think the photo shot cost them $25,000. Obviously, that's not your normal.
I've paid $3,000 for one before, but then Trish Evans did mine $600 the other, about last month. So yeah.
Yeah, so that, I mean, in that respect, like it's absolutely wild. But that on top of that 25,000, there were also model fees. So then, because they'd use models, they wouldn't release their image rights until they'd paid another 10,000 to the models. So they had this beautiful photo shoot, and it was really good. But
then they charged another $10,000 extra. Yeah, wow.
And the fact that they hadn't factored in that photo shoot in the rebrand. So that came after they'd had all the rebrand and the website was quoted for, the brand strategy. The brand strategy was laughable, but they just it was like another 35,000 on top of what they were paying anyway. And I'm like, that's like most businesses can't cope with that. So talk me through your background and how you kind of got into. I did hear some bits of how you got into the industry with it. Yeah, I'm like, it's interesting.
Yeah, my background is real estate actually. So my parents
selling
and property management as well. So I started as a secretary actually at one of my dads. So my dad used to own real estate agencies. So I was about 16, a secretary. And then I moved into property management, and then I moved into sales. And then my hubby at that time was in the bank. And we got moved to Coffs, so from Newcastle to Coffs. So then I had to find a job, and then I got I was working for a builder, like in the his display home on the weekends, and then I ended up being in the bank, which I didn't like, hated it, and then sort of came back and did bits and pieces all around. My parents sold the business, and it wasn't until I was 40 that I realised that I needed to do something. Like I was sick of working for someone else. I'm not a good employee, probably not a good employer either, because I don't have much patience. So I just wanted to work for myself. So my sister and I started the business together. So that's 13 years ago now, and we sort of separated the businesses after about 3 or 4 years. So my sister took the property management side, I stayed with the sales, and she sold the property management side probably a year and a half ago now. So so it's just I just love sales and selling houses off the plan
and helping people.
Yes, and helping people is
helping those families, and I think that's the kind of to bring people into any business and help people is, an amazing, opportunity that you've created, and to be able to actually do that, and is amazing. Obviously, beforehand we had a little bit of conversation, and we spoke about COVID. Yes. I wanted to sort of ask you about how it affected the business.
Yeah, big time. I suppose to begin with COVID, there was still the government grants, because there was grants to build. So they, at one stage they were giving away $25,000 to build a home, and then it sort of went down to 20 and then 15. So they had so much demand for building, and then of course COVID happened, and a lot of stuff like countries shut down. A lot of things like timber was brought overseas, and they couldn't get that in. So supplies, materials started to dry up as well. So therefore, going back to the old supply and demand, there was more demand and not enough supply. So prices went up. That's right. And they were going up weekly. Like normally, and it's all leveled off now, normally you'll have 2 price rises a year, and they were going up weekly in that time. So those builders that were in fixed price contracts, they were just losing money, and that's why a lot of them went broke. So I had one of my builders go broke in 2021, lost a lot of money because with commission that they owed me. But it just was happening all across the board, and just people got scared.
So you don't, so the builders pay you, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
It's not that, you're organising it for the couple that, or the family that come to you. They don't pay you.
No, it's just an admin fee. I asked for $95, an admin fee that just sort of covers my running around, and I explain the contract. Or else if I or else if I look at contracts with other builders that aren't my own, it's $4.95 as well. But I get paid by the builder at slab and frame stage. So if there's any delay, I'm the one who's suffering. So losing, a bit of money with this one builder was, hurt. It hurt, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been extremely painful.
Yeah, and I got, because I've never been in that situation before where a builder's gone broke, and I had clients just ringing me. My name slandered all over Facebook. It was very touchy, and it wasn't the nicest
really
place.
Messy, because then you've got a lot of cleaning up to do afterwards. With because if your reputation takes a nosedive through no fault of your own, it's just somebody that you've been associated with. People then start to question your judgment as well as, Kerri-Ann got involved in, with this builder. And it obviously wasn't the right move. It was really
tough.
Difficult.
Yeah, it's very tough. So it was a good year writing that out. So a good year.
From it, did you, was there anything you learned or you kind of took away that you said?
I learned to be leaner in the business, not to have as many expenses that I did, because obviously I had to look at my cash flow. So that was a big thing because there was not a lot coming in.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I know. But, I've done things like sell cars where we needed to, we're in a fortunate position where we actually own the car, so we could, sell them and get the money, virtually straight away. We borrowed on a house. I've even sold jewelry to get by in those times. So it's been, it's definitely a learning curve. And I always think you need to have at least 6 months of the expenses sitting there in the bank account, especially after what I went through. And that's what I work on now.
Yeah, fair enough. It does make sense. There's so many, obviously we get a lot of education around, from people, and there's a lot of people handing out advice as well, which kind of helps. Some of it useful, some of it not so much.
Yeah. So all as they say, cash flow is king, cash is king, and it all comes down to the basics. Get out. I still work off an Excel spreadsheet. I've got zero, but I just love looking at my Excel spreadsheet. So you just got to, those expenses. Mm.
Yeah, I fully understand that. I had when I first sort of went into the business, I had a guy sort of give me some sales coaching stuff. It was really useful. Yeah. And then I saw him about 12 months later, and he was like, "Whoa, all these stuff, why are you just not outsourcing it overseas? You can make way more money." I'm like, that's not how that was never in the plan. That's not my way of doing it. And I think, there are a lot of people making really good money from people by just outsourcing overseas. And I'm like, I like to have a little bit of control.
Everything.
I'm trying to make myself look like a control.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I haven't outsourced actually yet with anything from overseas. So, I just have my VA who's local. Yeah,
and the same goes. I outsource some of the web development stuff because it's not something I specialize in.
Yeah.
There's got to be a break somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
When going back to COVID,
yes,
did it kind of make you shift the vision for the business? So going forward, obviously you had to recoup the money that you'd lost.
Yes.
Did that then shift the vision and kind of what you saw? Was the business different before COVID to it afterwards?
As in client base, it's definitely different because before COVID, it was a lot of first-time buyers that I would help. Now it's more investors. I really think the media is still scaring people like first-time buyers to build, even though I think it's fabulous because we've built 5 times. I think the client base has definitely shifted from there. And I still think the media sort of is not that great with how they treat builders and building. It's a fabulous way to get your new home. But, it's definitely the client base. And hopefully that'll shift next year when we've got these interest rates that have supposedly going to come down. But, you know, that might help. But, yeah, and, I mean, we need, thousands and thousands of homes built in New South Wales, but they really need to get a bit more of an incentive out there as well. But, yeah, maybe not as much as last time because that did create a really bad problem.
So, yeah, I fully understand that. So we bought a place just previous to this place. Needed a lot of work done, so we did all the renovations ourselves, and then we sold that one because we sort of half bought it with my wife's parents because we were all new, we were all fresh to the area, didn't know anything, we'd never been to Australia before, but waited that sort of 5 or 6 months or so before buying somewhere, bought a place, renovated it, and then sold it to sort of part ways with my wife's parents, and then bought this place. And we were just about on the brink of, on the brink of having a baby, but my wife was pregnant. And she was like, I just don't want to go into doing more renovations or doing anything like that right now. And that's how we fell on this place. We were like, the kitchen's done, everything's done. The only place is there's a couple of rooms that need a bit of work, and we could have some better cupboard space. So if storage is a bit of an issue, but it's always an issue.
There's always a way,
Like I noted on your website, you mentioned about laundries and good laundry storage. I'm like, don't go in a laundry.
Well, even our laundry isn't all that great, and I'm like, I didn't put any thought into that, but anyway. Well, we've never renovated. We could never renovate, I don't think. We've always built new, so I can't comment on renovations.
And I think it's interesting. I would have a look at it. A new build for sure. Especially as when I was going to speak to you about this as well, because I'm interested in seeing. Like in Australia, we have the block. And I don't know where this. Let's see where this goes. But for people that aren't local, it's 5 teams of 2. They kind of take on the challenge to build a house in like 13, 14 weeks. It's that's not normal, right?
No, that is not normal. And to have trades turn up. Well, actually, they do sometimes have problems with trades, but trades working around the clock.
And so they effectively choose everything to go in all the rooms. Then they get all the tradies to come in and basically build it, and they kind of do some painting and some finessing of the sort of the end product. It's pretty impressive, and then they auction it off.
I love to see their inspection report. So at the end of a building inspector, I mean, I know there's all builders on site and you've got Scotty Cam, but I love to see what a building inspector report says because that's quite quick.
So I mean, so they auction off, and they win whatever the goes above reserve.
Yes.
To me, that always brings up more questions. So, do you think it changes people's perceptions of what they can expect when they have a new build?
Yeah, especially with inclusions. I mean, obviously on the block you've got the gorgeous bathrooms
and they get given like hundreds of thousands of dollars to add to the budgets.
And I'm sure there's a lot of sponsorship there too, like with freebies.
I think so. When you hear this is the Disney Plus Clubhouse or whatever it is, and you're like, they must have put in a lot of money.
I mean, looking at bathrooms, I don't think any of them have standard chrome taps. They've always got beautiful brush gold or black, and your shower, you've got 2 shower roses, you've got shower ledges, you've got beautiful shower screens. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. I mean, when they put the price of how much the room cost to build at the end of that week, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, how do they build a kitchen for 33,000? And have all the appliances that they've got in the cupboards and everything. I'm like, it's too cheap.
It is, especially with they've got thermal-laminated paneling on the cupboards, and I know that's quite expensive. So if you're saying that's included appliances as well, and they're top of the range appliances and all the new gadgets, I mean, you look at the laundry. I mean, they've got the drying cupboards and all that, cabinets and all that, which is what I want. But I know they're like $3,000, $5,000 just for that. So, and then they've got the dog baths and the dog beds so it's creating an unrealistic expectation. It's beautiful to look at, gorgeous to look at. I mean, some of their colour selections are very questionable, I would say. And some of them are just, they're not thinking ahead. I always say, especially for people who are investing, you've got to keep your colour scheme neutral. Because, I mean, that's got to stand around, for 10 years because I always say to hang on to your property for at least 10 years. So a lot of those colours in the block, you just think, another year down, they're going to be so old-fashioned. So,
and that's the same. That's the same as what we found when we bought the place that we renovated. Yeah. It had these, like, chocolate brown walls, and you're like, chocolate brown, why? They're, like, almost poo colour.
Yeah, it's awful. Well, you even think like the pinks. I mean, they're still popular now, but, in a couple of years' time they might not. So I always say keep to your whites, your greys, maybe a little bit of a timber accent. Keep it very neutral if you're going to invest. Obviously, if it's your own home, go wild. If you think that, another 4 years you can change it, that's fine. But investment, it's completely different. Yeah.
Oh, it's painful.
Yeah.
Do you think... I've written a question down. I'm looking at it now and I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Okay. Off the back of the blog, do you get increased inquiries?
Not really. No, it's good for my blogs that it gives me some content because I know that what was it? One of the bathrooms. Oh yeah, like a stripy bathroom it was recently. It looked like a circus tent.
Yeah, I know the one.
Apologies to the blog people.
We watched it and my wife was like, oh, I'm really into this now. I'm like, oh, I'm not that bothered, but okay, well, we'll just, it's on in the background while I'm cooking. And but it's really, some of the question, like very questionable.
Yes, the colours, very questionable, but not so much. No, maybe people might reference it a little bit with colour selections because I'm with my clients, for the whole day, or if it takes 2 days with the colours. So I, occasionally I do hear that come up. But yeah,
like the colour side of it is such a big thing. I mean, like it's one of the things when I do a strategy session, it's one of the first things that, like, somebody said to me the other day, like, when do we start looking at colours? I'm like, just like forget all of that stuff. Like we will get to it and we will like make sure that we get to the right point. We've got to work out, like what's the foundations of the business and how are we kind of integrating it and what are the customers, what are we trying to communicate?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. A visual thing is always so important to people. So, yeah.
It's interesting how people get kind of slightly hung up on it.
Yes.
Last big topic.
Yeah.
When the future of building.
Yes.
When I went to Hong Kong probably 15 years ago or so, like the space was like a premium. And I think obviously we're at that kind of point now. We need more homes.
Yes.
Like, can you see us going to smaller plots, or is there some sort of innovation that we're going to expect to see, or that people are working on in the background
as far as
quietly?
Yeah, as far as perception of smaller blocks has actually completely changed from like 10 years ago. Because if you said to someone 10 years ago, this block of land's 400 square metres, they'd be like in shock. Like it was always 600, 700 square metres. So yes, I see developments with less land, like around 300 to 400 square metres for a block of land. And people now think that's quite normal. And going to that, then they're more going to the double story because you want your footprint to be smaller, so to have a little bit of a yard. As far as things changing the energy efficiency of a home, like that's what the government wants. So with the basics, they brought out new rules about a year ago. The government wants you to be, your bills to be less, your energy bills. So probably more improvement in that space. I mean, at the moment, homes, especially double-story homes, most of those windows have to be double glazed. You've got to have ceiling fans in every room. Your installation is increased, your water tank's increased, you've got to have solar panels. So they are moving away from gas in saying that. I've seen some basics saying that they want to have electric, they want gas more than electric. So it's a bit up in the air, the gas versus the electric, but probably more in that space, I'd say, will be coming through, more innovation as far as insulation goes as well. Yeah.
That's interesting. So, long story, one of my clients has got another business and they do, down in Melbourne, they do prefabricated homes. Modular, like click together.
Yes.
I can see that being a big thing that could sort of grow.
Yeah, it hasn't sort of gone, completely, popular in this area, but it's definitely on the horizon. Yeah. So, yeah, and people are considering it now. Again, like I said, if you compare to 10 years ago, they'd never ever think of that. Well, even like granny flats weren't really that much of a thing, 10 years ago. So, yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I guess that one of my main concerns is like my kids growing up, in the next 20 years or so, like how are they going to, what's going to happen? Yeah, like what's going to happen? I'm like so interested. But I also saw something the other day. My wife sent me a thing that said, if you charge them $300 of rent every month from the age of like 18 to 25, when they normally kind of flee, they would have enough for like $25,000 in a deposit. And I'm like, but $25,000 isn't enough.
No, it's not enough now. No.
To even get portion of looking at getting a property.
I know. Well, 30 years ago when we were married, we had, I think it was about $3,000 and a house and land was $100,000. So, yeah, that's what we brought. It's just crazy, isn't it? I think it's going to be relying on generational wealth, as in using parents' homes for, guarantors.
Yeah, and that's pretty much how we got on the market.
Yeah.
We didn't have the deposit. We'd just moved from New Zealand and saved up some money, but really just enjoyed being in New Zealand traveling. And it wasn't, our first thought wasn't we should be saving up some of this money that we're making. It was more just like, how can we go and see, like, New Zealand's amazing.
Yes, I haven't been there.
The most incredible time.
Yeah, looks beautiful.
Yeah, it really was. We used to go every sort of weekend, both days. We'd go walking in like the local rainforest, effectively. That was stunning.
Yeah. I'm not really an outdoor person, but I do want to go to New Zealand. They don't have snakes there, do they?
They don't have anything. So we'd go through. So we had people visiting from Australia.
Yeah.
And we were like taking them through like these like going through like walks through rivers and stuff. But we were just like crossing the rivers and like not worrying about it because we were just like, it was summertime. It was really hot. We were just like, we'll just go. There is a route where you can do, and you kind of just zigzag through this river.
Yeah.
And then you get to the top of this waterfall. You can then you walk down to the bottom of the waterfall, and like you can go swimming in the bottom of this waterfall. Like amazing. But you're like, we're just walking past all these eels and stuff, and like here, you're like, it's way too risky.
Do they have bad spiders in New Zealand? No?
A few whitetails and things, but
nothing like a funnel web. No. Yeah. So, our next move, we want to be on a bit of land, but then I'm worried about the snakes and the spiders. So, that's the thing about Australia. That's why I'm not an outdoor campy. I don't camp.
No, so I thought in the UK I was a camper, like properly set up.
Yeah, because you don't have to worry about anything biting you.
Don't worry about that. And then we were like, we had obviously the plan to move to Australia, and then we're like, we're never going to camp again ever.
No.
And now we're like, we kind of got over that fear pretty quickly, and just kind of realised that it's okay.
My shark fear is there too in the water, so I'm sort of stuffed on both sides.
You just spend your time building houses.
I know. No, well, not really. My 5 stars are in a motel 5 stars. That's about it.
I like that as well. It's nice to treat yourself occasionally, but I think like with the kid. I think with the kids, it's like every time we've taken them on holiday, and then we've had like 2 or 3 nights away, like the change in them that we see when they haven't got access to their normal stuff. We've got young kids, so like their brains are so moldable. That all the technology and stuff is really hard to kick.
Yes.
But as soon as you're away from that stuff, like you go to the beach, you go for a swim, in like all those sorts of things, you just kind of spend all day doing all that stuff. Yeah. And being outdoors and kicking a football around or whatever. It just changes the...
I'm so glad my kids grew up without... I mean, they had the Nintendos, but they grew up without, Facebook and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Facebook was sort of there, but, not like the Snapchat and all that sort of stuff. I'm so happy they didn't grow up with that. And when they're in their prams, I didn't sort of hand them like an iPad. It was literally... toys.
Have it here. Have a toy. I mean, like my probably because I'm a bit obsessive. I used to draw and do everything as a kid. I just spent the time drawing. Yeah. And like my daughter's incredibly artistic, so I'm like, if she's in a happy place, just drawing, and I'm like, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's great. Amazing. I'm really happy that she's found that.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that's amazing. I'm just having a look and seeing if there's any more amazing questions. You do loads of networking, don't you?
Yes. I am a bit exhausted at this time of year. It's towards the end of the year. We're recording this. I am a bit exhausted. I've been invited to a few more. I was like, I can't fit any more in. I love getting out there in my orange suit, and because people recognise me from my orange suit, and yeah.
Question: if they see you outside of a work context, do people still recognise you?
Sometimes I do wear orange outside of work contest, but I don't know. Normally, if I'm like not wearing orange, I'm seeing a musical or something in Sydney with my daughter. So,
from that question, when the more networking you do you find that the community that you've kind of are connected with becomes stronger? Like, yes. Is it you see the benefits of doing that and having those conversations? Because when you go to networking, you don't instantly expect everyone to just go, okay, yeah, I need to build a new house. Yeah, exactly. I want to get a contract review. I imagine you can probably count on one hand how many times you have had somebody go, I've got something. Can you help me?
Yes. So I find that networking's 2 things. So with working for myself, it's great to just go out and talk to other business owners, and I honestly do count them as business friends, and I love catching up with them. Yes. Yeah.
All my clients, like, I will build a relationship where it's just like they're just an extension of my...
Yes, exactly. So I love that from that perspective, and it's getting out and socializing. The other perspective is of networking is it gives you credibility. So when people, they might be at the barbecue and say, and someone's talking about, I might build, I'm not sure of it, then you come top of mind. It's being top of mind all the time. Orange, top of mind. It's like, but then I had someone last week that I just met for the first time. She goes, I know you from social media. But then she said, well, what do you actually do? And I thought, okay, so maybe I need to point out more what I do more. But then again, I was recognisable. I was walking. I had orange on.
Yeah. It's really hard, isn't it? I think when you're building that personal brand, it's become this thing that you kind of have to invest in, have to keep doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the connection between, okay, what do you actually do? And is really hard to get across, but on the flip side, you get to know that person.
Yes. Yeah.
And believe that they're actually, they're actually a person that you could have a conversation with.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a laugh with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's why I'm, so grateful that you come along to Chatterbox, because without people like you turning up regularly, it wouldn't be the same.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And can I just say on the networking thing too, you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars every month either. There's a lot of free networking out there as well. And I always say if you get invited to someone, just say yes. I mean, you just never know what that might lead to. And then I also believe in the coffee catch-ups as well, even though I don't drink coffee. I drink hot chocolate.
I was going to say, you have a hot chocolate.
Yeah, hot chocolate all the time. I need to really stop that. But anyway, but, just meeting one-on-one with people, and that could be someone, that you've met with networking, or someone that you want to do business with or have that association with. That's so important too, and that just costs a coffee. So it doesn't have to be spending those hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. Yeah,
I agree. I've just I regularly just reach out to people and say, look, hey, let's grab a coffee.
Yes.
You don't need to expect anything from it.
Yep.
It's I think that's the hardest thing that people don't learn when they first start in business.
Yeah.
Not everything is going to happen instantly,
yes.
right?
It's a slow burn.
So rare.
slow burn. Especially with socials. Yeah.
2.5 years of just grinding it out. And then you get COVID and gets in the way.
Yes.
And then you go, there's another 2.5 years off the back of it. And then you start to see some traction again.
Yeah, I know. Yep, it's a roller coaster. Out there. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way, owning my business. Like I said, I can't work for anyone else, but you have to be prepared for the roller coaster. You have to stick it out. Perseverance, I think, is the key. And no matter if there's no plan B, you would do whatever you can to stay in business. Like I said, sell the car. So no, don't try and hang on to the house. But I mean, Janine from Boost, she sold her house to fund the Boost franchises. So if that's what you got to do,
yeah,
but, yeah,
I mean, she's done pretty well.
Yes, she has. Mind her business.
So how can people reach you and keep in contact?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn a lot. So that's not so much with my business name, but with my name, Kerri-Ann Hooper. So please come and have a chat to me on there. You'll see me on Instagram, Carnelian Projects, so CARNELIAN Projects. Also with Facebook. TikTok, gosh, I don't know what I'm doing on TikTok, but, I'm there. And Pinterest as well under Carnelian. Yeah, not on X, whatever it's called, the new Twitter, whatever, the old Twitter, whatever.
No, we don't talk about X.
No. As I said, TikTok's hard enough for me to keep up with. I literally just post things and okay, I'm leaving now. Whereas with Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook, I will chat to you on those. I love those platforms. So, yeah.
They are mostly positive experiences.
Yeah, I find Facebook I'm not getting as much traction as I do from Instagram and LinkedIn. So, yeah, don't get as much interaction. So, yeah.
I would have thought your audience, being the investors, would be more likely to use Facebook.
Unless they're just watching, not actually commenting. But I must admit, though, with my website, when I have a look at the stats, Facebook does direct a bit to but it's...
They do also say that when people are silent, it's because they're contemplating.
Right, okay.
So sometimes when you post something on any of the platforms, sometimes if it resonates too well, you don't actually end up getting as much engagement, but they will read it and at a later point may get in touch because they're just kind of banking up those little touch points and going, okay.
Yeah.
And then they're just waiting for that right point to say, okay. And that's why the consistency part is where people, are always, talking about just being consistent on social media. And it's one of the hardest things to actually do.
Yeah, I know. It is like a beast that you've got to feed it every day. Especially, all the time. And, sometimes, and I appreciate my stage of life because I don't have little kids. My kids are in their 20s. But, I'm doing some of that social at 10:30 at night. If obviously I had little kids, I wouldn't be able to do that. So, it's just you've got to do.
Quite often when I find that I'm doing stuff as well.
Yeah, there we are.
Late night.
Sitting on the lounge watching TV. It's oh, gosh, I've got to post,
Gotta write a blog.
Yeah.
Gotta
I
do
need to
something.
do that more. I'm only doing that once a week. I was like, I think
Once
it's
a
2
week?
or 3.
Once a week's fine.
Yeah,
Like, if
yeah,
you're doing a blog post,
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't.
I had someone tell me
some
it's got to be
people
2
say-
to 3 times a week. I had like,
Yeah, but that could also include like updates on your old content. Like
okay.
So like my blogs, I regularly try to refresh, especially if as my knowledge grows, I then look back at old stuff and then go, oh, I'm not sure I completely agree with that now, or I think this could be added to.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And that is a really good signal that Google loves, especially if you've got blog posts that are doing really well.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can kind of add to it? To make it even better.
Good.
And
Okay. I'll
keep
do
it
that.
at the top of the
Top
list.
of the ranking. Yes. Yes. And I heard too, even like, obviously your blogs are on your website, but even like tweaking your website every week or that just helps it as well, because Google just loves you interacting.
As long as they see you like being in, like that they can see that, oh, this is a current business. That
Yes.
is, somebody's actually
Updating.
doing stuff with it,
Yeah.
and it's running. It's not just it's kind of sitting there
Yeah. Yeah.
hoping to sort of make money from people.
Yeah. 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 Interesting.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for
Yeah.
coming in.
Thanks for that, Martin. Thanks for having
All right,
me.
and we'll catch up again in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, I think
and-
next week, is it?
Yeah, well,
Chatterbox.
I've got to sort out all the food and
Okay. It is next
Get the
week, is it? Or
pizzas
the week
ordered.
after? I don't know. This time of year, I don't even know what one day or dates are.
But by the time this goes out, it'll probably have been done.
It's
So
just
we'll
in the
say
new
now,
year.
like just how amazing the Christmas party was.
So good. Food was amazing.
And the drinks.
And my lemonade, because I don't drink
Yeah.
alcohol. So
Of
my
course you
lemonade
don't,
was
no.
amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Martin. Bye.